All right. Hello, and welcome everyone to today's session on mastering mindfulness. Before we get started, please note that this content is provided for general informational purposes only, that it is not advice nor intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice. Do not use this information for diagnosing or treating any medical or health conditions, and those seeking treatment for any specific disease or ailment should consult with a qualified physician or therapist. We make no representations nor any warranties or assume any liability for the content herein. We're just here to educate. So welcome to Limitless Ladies Network, where women help women build holistic, empathetic self-care and well-being. It is my pleasure to welcome Indora today to our session on mindfulness. Indora is a certified practitioner of hypnotherapy, meditation, yoga, and much more. So Indora, I've known you for quite some time, and I have to say that it is no surprise to me that you actually became a yogi and got into meditation. So tell us a little bit more about how you actually went down that path.
Okay. So a good friend of mine who I met when I was waitressing at the casino in my 20s, she just kind of gave me a book on yoga, and I was laying in bed reading the book. And then about halfway through, I jumped out of bed and started doing the poses. And and it just like kind of like all unfolded from there.
That's awesome.
That was the very beginning, though. Thank you.
That's very cool. And so you actually studied this like professionally in California, right?
Yes, I went to Mount Madonna Center in Watsonville, California, and I studied yoga, meditation, and pranayama, which is breath work.
That's great. How long did that take you?
It was a 30-day on site,
Nice.
so it was kind of like it was very intensive.
I bet. That's
Yeah,
very cool though.
thank you.
All right, so let's talk about some health benefits to mindfulness. I know there's been several studies around that have, talked about the benefits of meditation and some of the other things. I myself do yoga, which I love every Saturday morning here in town. Meditation, I actually try to do meditation every day. I have a little app that I use, but it is hard to kind of rein the brain back in, I guess. It has been touted, to have a lot of mental, benefits for trauma, which I have had some trauma. So trying to kind of get back more into that, I think, and help relieve some of those symptoms. But it's also been linked to like lowering blood pressure, improving our sleep, our mood, all of those things, which can be beneficial. Have you experienced any of those? I mean, you seem so calm all the time. So to me, you're like the epitome of calm. Do you see that with anyone that you're working with where after once they've started until like say so many sessions in that they're actually a bit more calm and relaxed and just feeling better?
Absolutely. I can only really speak for myself. I have absolutely noticed those benefits. Uh, I think everybody's different, and I think that it's a lifestyle, so it does play into other forms of self-care, such as eating well and getting to bed at a reasonable hour. And everybody has different levels of stress, and
Totally.
so it's kind of like it's hard to say. I can't really speak for everybody else and for what from what I've seen, to be
Yeah.
completely honest. But I know that from a personal experience, it certainly helped me and helps.
Yeah,
Mhm.
totally. It definitely seems like it would be advantageous, especially if you're undergoing, like I said, trauma and those kinds of things, and you need to quiet your mind,
Mhm.
and just kind of figure out how to deal with some of those thoughts that are popping up just to, I guess, be more just mindful, right? Be present, maybe.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, there's certainly a place of inner peace that can be accessed, and some people can find that peace through vigorous physical exercise, and some people find that peace in nature. I like all of the above, and other things too, like breathing exercises, grounding. So yeah, it can definitely. bring you to this place of inner peace that you would not otherwise be able to access.
Totally. So talking about some of those things like grounding and, breath work, how difficult is it? Or maybe you just want to explain a little bit about those types of techniques.
Sure. Well, they're actually really simple. Anybody can do them. And I teach those exercises to my nephews, and I've been teaching them
Nice.
since they were younger. I mean, they're 13 and but like I started teaching them as young as 4. And so they're so simple and so easy. Grounding is like the key, I think, to starting off. And it's as simple as just being aware of the noises around you, the feeling of your body. Um,
When you do grounding, is that something that I think of the ground, right? Like you're actually outside with your feet in the grass, which I think is a form of grounding, but it can really be anywhere, right?
Absolutely. So I make it a point to start out my mornings with grounding exercises. And I just literally picture myself um, like connecting to the center of the earth and feeling myself physically rooting down into the earth. That may sound a little out there, but but it's actually very simple. With your eyes closed, you can just imagine that you're like you have like this energetic cord reaching down from your sacrum and your tailbone and connecting to the heart of the earth. It has to be tangible to actually to some people's minds. Like they can't be so out there that they're not able to um, you know what I mean? Like sometimes people get like they think that it's so complex. It's really not. It's just a simple thing. Think about the earth and think about yourself. And we are energy. So
Mhm.
picture your energy drawing down to the center of the earth and pulling up that energy into your body, into your physical body. And it's as simple as that.
Wow. So do you visualize that, or is it just something that you repeat like
I
word
visualize.
through your like a just a in not an incantation for lack of a word, but is it
Yeah.
something that you're kind of talking yourself through like you just did, or do you actually see like the energy and the core and it actually coming up to you? Are you a visual?
Yeah, that's a good question. I actually do feel it and I do visualize it. And sometimes it's harder, like you said in the very beginning, Tammy, that sometimes it's not so easy to get in that place. It can be, sometimes if I have a lot going on, my mind will it'll be harder to focus. And so I literally just like kind of force myself to do it. And sometimes when the thoughts start to wander, I can pull it back. And sometimes I can't. There are mornings when I really just can't do it. So, but I do make it a point to try every morning
Yeah. How long does it usually take you?
to get to that place of feeling like I've connected to the
Yeah.
earth. It varies. Every morning is different depending on what's going on. Usually, though, like maybe 3 or 4 minutes. I lose track of time when I'm doing it, and that can be a problem, especially if you have a schedule. So I try to get up and start that like going by 6:30 in the morning. And then I'll lose track of time, and sometimes it'll go on until like 7:30.
Wow.
Sometimes.
That's a pretty intense level of self-reflection, I would think, and just being with self. Because I
Right.
would imagine that it's quiet and you just kind of almost want to fall back asleep.
Yeah, that's a good point. A lot of people do, that's why it's important to get up out of bed to do it. I've tried it laying down and I do end up oftentimes falling back to sleep. So I
Hmm.
do physically get up and sit to do it.
Okay. Yeah, that was going to be my other question. Is there
Mhm.
a place that you find that's better, a certain pose, whether I know there's, in yoga, you're kind of like sitting with your legs crisscross, right? Or
Mhm.
some people do laying down on a mat or outside.
Yeah, I sit. I'm just sitting like exactly where I'm sitting now is where I do it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so it doesn't take too long. So that's good. I mean, in different times of day, do you practice this? It sounds like mostly in the morning, but is it something that you had a really stressful day and you can just sit in your car for 5 minutes and just kind of get grounded or get that sense of reconnection again to help calm the mood?
Yeah, when I'm outside in nature, definitely.
Yeah. It
Mhm.
seems like, outdoor air activities, hiking, just being outside in general is probably a good form of meditation for some people, like
Mhm.
me, that kind of struggle with being able to, quiet the mind or sit still for a while. I used to actually get up when I was having a really tough time. I would get up and make my coffee in the morning, and I would just go out and sit on my back patio and kind of stare out into the wilderness and listen to the birds and see the birds and, just hear the sounds. And to me, that was just so calming to be able to start my day as the sun's coming up.
Yeah, I mean that's really all it is. It's that simple and that easy to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, and the health benefits I think are just so enormous that um it really helps to, I think, deregulate some of the anxieties and like, they were talking about depression and stuff that it's so important because today's society, even for me, I'm constantly in front of electronics, which I feel just drains the energy from me.
Mhm.
And I need to try to figure out ways to bring that back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in your breath work that you do,
Mhm.
how how does that work? I mean, is it just deep breathing? Like kind of walk me through a little bit of a breathing exercise.
Okay. So I when we're talking about like the morning meditation and the breathing and the grounding, so that's all incorporated, and that's part of connecting to the earth and to my deep inner peace. So there's so many different breathing exercises that can be practiced. Oftentimes, I'll just do a very, very simple one of maybe inhaling for the count of three, holding for the count of three, and then exhaling for like a count of six. And I'll repeat that 3 or 4 times. And that can actually scientifically, that it's shown to the thought waves in the brain slow down. So,
And is it because the exhale, like you're releasing for a longer period, it's double, right? Of your breathing into your hold
yeah.
and then let go, that you're actually
Mhm.
releasing more
Yes.
anxiety or depression?
I think it's is physiologically, I'm not exactly sure, like, but yeah, it does. It reduces your anxiety and it also slows your thought waves in your brain.
Wow.
So your breath is so connected to your mental state. And like everybody knows when you're nervous, right? You forget to breathe and like people say breathe, that's the first thing they say when you're like a mess, right?
Yeah.
Because we don't realize we're holding our breath. And so yeah, I'm not sure like the physiological reason why people do that, but it seems to be pretty common.
Yeah, I know I do that when I have anxiety and I just kind of like all of a sudden I'm like, I haven't taken a breath. Or I
Right.
have, and they're very short little,
Well,
breaths,
I
just not
just
giving me enough oxygen or something.
right. And I think that's a big part of it. I think also I just want to mention that there are times when, like you were saying, during trauma or, you know, it's really difficult to breathe smoothly and deeply. And I've had that happen to me as well, where I just can't take a deep breath.
Yeah.
And I think that it's so important to sit with that and really work on it until you can, because once you sigh out that breath and you can actually take a deep breath, your whole body just relaxes.
Right. Because you don't realize that as you're holding your breath, your muscles are so tight everywhere because
Yes.
everything in your body requires oxygen, right? So you're literally
Yeah.
cutting off the oxygen through all of your organs, through your muscles,
Mhm. It's
everything.
true.
Yeah,
Yeah. Mhm.
that's a great point. So breath work for sure every day.
Yeah. And especially if you're nervous or tense,
Yeah.
breathing is so, there's all kinds of breathing exercises that you can do, and you can actually get to a state of heightened euphoric, um, sort of like just, I don't know, it's just a state of euphoria from just doing the breathing alone. It's amazing.
Wow, that's pretty
Mhm.
impressive
Yeah,
that you can get connected just based off of your breath.
yeah, I know, and it's free, right?
Yeah.
It's easy, it's free, it's accessible.
Right. And it's one of those things that you just get overlooked because it's part of your, innate habit that you know that you're going to breathe automatically. And sometimes you just don't think that you're stopping that process as much as you are when, especially under duress or stress.
Mm-hmm.
So it is good to just be present, I guess, right? Versus especially with trauma, I think you end up looking backwards, or you're worried, even in some cases, of looking forwards. And you have anxiety about those things because it's the unknown. But I think being more present in today of what's happening and just kind of stepping back sometimes for me, I try to. It's not always easy, but try to step back a little bit or walk away from my desk and say, okay, like I just need 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all great stuff. So what would you recommend for somebody just to get started in being more mindful?
I would recommend picking a time where you feel like you're going to be not interrupted and you can have some silence. That's most important. Um, because everybody, people have kids, they have lots of things going on. And so it's really key to find that quiet time where you can be alone. So I would find that, and then start out by doing, like you said, you do a meditation on your phone or something.
So
Did
I
you?
have one through like a health app through Apple has one, and I know there's Calm and there's a couple other ones that will kind of do guided meditations, which I think to me was helpful because again, it quiets my mind and it helps me to focus on their voice
Mhm.
until at some point I can just try to quiet my own mind.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I kind of lost sight of that, but when I started, I was doing a lot of the guided meditation, and I found some people find that really helpful, and other people like complete silence. Some people
Mhm.
like music, so finding out what it is that you like, and then, whether it be a guided meditation or, your own silence, music, whatever, finding a good place to do that and to be silent for maybe 10 minutes even a day, and then connecting to the earth, connecting to your higher self, which would be like your God of your understanding.
Mhm.
Some people use Jesus or God or Buddha, and some people just use their higher self, um, to connect to that as well. And to do that, I would recommend somebody to do the grounding first. And and then once you've grounded, you can sort of, because you don't want to do the other part first. I used to do that. And then I was walking around like a balloon, just floating, like in my head in the clouds. Like your head can be in the clouds, but your feet have to be on the earth. And So it's important to ground first and then connect to your heart, your own heart center, and think about the things that you love, the people that you love. Um, being a compassionate person, and there's exercises that you can do that are so simple, just to like place your hand on your heart and feel your own heartbeat to connect to your inner self, and then and just sit there, and whether it be like listening to the meditation, guided meditation, you'll come to a point where you'll find out that you have access to this place inside of you that's so peaceful.
I think that everyone needs to just try different techniques, right? It sounds
Yeah.
like, as we all know, everyone's different. So don't just quit after the first attempt
Yeah.
or the second or
Right.
third attempt, because I've been trying this for years.
Hmm.
Still, I'm not perfect at it and I'm not consistent at it, but I need to be. So it's kind of one of those self-care things that I just need to make sure that I spend, even if it's just 5 minutes a day or 2 minutes a day, whatever I can try to get into my schedule. So I feel like I did that today and it gives me a little bit of peace. So definitely don't give up after the first or second or third attempt.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I was actually that I wrote that down in my notes.
Yeah,
It takes practice.
it
And
does.
to know that, like, you're in control. There's a part of you that's in control of your thoughts. And once this, if you have so much going on and you absolutely just can't do it, that day, fine. But like for the most part, you can tell yourself, okay, these thoughts are coming in. I'm going to address that later, and sort of put them in a compartment. They call it compartmentalizing, and just sort of like put it to the side and say, I'll get back. Yes, I see you're coming up again. I promise I'll get back to, and just play little games with your own self like that can be helpful.
Yeah, I'm learning that as I talk with different people that putting something aside, if it
Yeah.
comes, you can deal
Because
with it.
it will, and you can absolutely like find that strength to rein it in and continue. And one of those ways is through the breath, actually.
Hmm.
Once if you find yourself wandering, you just bring your focus onto your breathing, or a candle. Like you can light a candle and like just like stare at the flame, open up your eyes and literally stare at the flame,
Yeah,
and then
that's a good idea because
Mhm.
then it will actually help you focus on your breath. If you're close enough to it, right, you'll be able to actually see the flame move.
Right.
Yeah, I like that idea. That's a good one. So this was awesome. Was there anything else that you wanted to share with us?
Sometimes like a physical thing can really help. Like that's why in yoga, oftentimes the practice of the physical,
Mhm.
they call it asana. It means pose or seat. Is practice is done for that purpose to get your sort of to get the kinks out and the energy. If you have a lot of energy to sort of like have a way to vent it physically, and then it's easier to sit in meditation.
Mm.
So, that can be helpful as well.
So maybe doing a yoga before meditation, because is that sort of grounding?
Yes.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Mhm. And let's see. Well, also just feeling so one of the reasons I practice this is because it helps me to get in touch with my inner self.
Mhm.
And I think mindfulness in general is about being authentic and about knowing who you are, knowing what you need, and being able to ask for what you need. And being able to take up space is, I work on these things every day. Like this morning, I felt that I was sort of like shrinking, like, sometimes we shrink, like we want to be smaller, right?
Right.
But it's important to feel empowered and to take up space, with your energy, and just like your auric field. I mean, it's physiologic, it's scientific I'm not talking like I do tend to be on the spiritual side of things too, but like just for the purposes of this explanation,
Yeah.
I just want to, say that it is a physical thing. Your auric field is an electromagnetic field of energy. And, there's currently in photography, which actually shows that, like they can take pictures of your energy.
I know, that's amazing stuff.
Yeah, so just to finish the point, like you want to feel expansive, and if you're feeling like you're contracting and you're fearful or for whatever reason, um, I like to practice sort of pushing my energy out and expanding my energy, even in small ways, just to fill up the whole room. And then, from there, I can fill up the town. And then the state or whatever, and just to feel more expansive and take up more space is really helpful in an empowering way, I feel.
Yeah, totally. Because a lot of people, including myself, right, I have trouble being with myself, right? So, to that point of wanting to shrink, I think when you do that introspection or you think of sitting with yourself, you may not be at a happy place with yourself.
Hmm.
So that can make it challenging where people don't want to, think about those thoughts that are in their head. They just want to be able to kind of escape from all of that. And if
Hmm.
looking inward make kind of forces them to do that, but it meditation, I think, is really not intended to do that. I think it's more intended to just get in tune with your body itself and not necessarily with your thoughts. But maybe I'm off base.
Well, I think that it's all the above.
Yeah,
You definitely don't want to let your thoughts control you,
right.
and that can happen. It happens where we think that we are our thoughts, but we are the thinker of the thoughts. So
Right.
there's this place inside of us that's much deeper than the thoughts. And yeah, maybe you sit with yourself and you feel like, like I had this happen, full disclosure today, like there was something that was bothering me and I had to sit with it. And I didn't completely resolve it, but I was able to at least feel like I can accept this part of me. And, I don't have it all figured out yet, but I have a plan, that I will actually look at it. I'm not going to just push it aside and go out there and like overwork or overeat or, do something that is going to distract me from whatever it is.
Yeah, it's that inner work that does need to happen. It's not easy for really anybody to do. I mean, it could be a little easier for some people than others, but it is definitely important work that I think we all need to start focusing on, especially when there's just so much outside social media and other things that are influencing, looking at somebody and how their life is versus, how my life is and making those types of judgment calls.
Hmm.
So super important that we all just try to get back to connecting to ourselves and to the earth. I love that idea of kind of coming back to centering yourself and grounding yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it feels good. It
It does.
definitely does.
It does. I mean, when I was going outside for coffees in the morning before it got cold, because I
Mhm.
don't like the cold, right? I would go outside there for, 10, 15 minutes and I just wouldn't want to leave because I felt so calm and just at peace with things and was like, oh my gosh, this is nature. You just miss all of that stuff by being inside or being connected to devices all the time. So
Right.
I'm really kind of missing that these past few days. And I think I just need to force myself to get outside and bundle up before I go.
Yeah, well, I'll get outside with you if you ever want to bundle up and go for a walk.
Yeah, totally. Yep. I've been trying to do that too, but I definitely need to get out and get some exercise in the mornings as well. So that sounds great.
Mhm.
Awesome. Well, I know we're actually at time. So I know you have some classes that you're going to be starting soon. So tell us about those.
Sure. So in January, we'll be starting up again. It's through the town of Colchester, and you can go on the Parks and Rec website and you can sign up. I believe that they already have signups available for people. It's very affordable. I believe it's like $11 a class,
Oh, wow, that's
which
awesome.
is unheard of. Like you can't find a yoga class for that much money, and
I know.
yeah,
That's
it's great.
fantastic.
It's great. They want to make it accessible to everybody, and so they
And is
they
that going to be at the new senior center?
they might actually have it finished by then, but
It's
if
looking
not,
really good.
I know. It's going to be, so what I heard from one of my past students, it's going to be slash community center slash senior center.
Okay.
So yeah, so look out for, different events and things going on there too, because I'm definitely going to be part of that with the meditation and everything teaching there too, hopefully.
That's awesome. And I'm hoping to do some holistic wellness stuff for nutrition and hopefully sleep and maybe some other cool stuff. So
Excellent.
hopefully that will happen as well. Great. All right. And I am just going to post out there because they can find you on the Limitless Ladies Network / directory because we have you listed out there on our practitioners directory on the Limitless Ladies Network. And also, please don't forget to sign up for the Limitless Ladies Network for future webinars, blog posts, and also get on our email list so that you know when these things are popping up. And we're hoping to be doing some workshops and possibly retreats in the near future. So stay tuned. And thank you again, Indora, for joining me today. It's been a great time catching up with you and learning about meditation.
Excellent. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. All
You're
right.
welcome.
Talk
Have a
soon.
great day. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.